Good to start. Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the Octagon YouTube channel. We are here with the Octagon's 4 senior editors-in-chief. They're going to be heading off to college very soon, but we thought we'd catch them, do a little senior send-off. I'm going to ask a couple of questions about their time at Country Day. So, to start off, the first question will be, what is your favorite memory of going to Country Day? We can start off with Rehan and then go this way.
That's a tough one. Because there are quite a few of those. I think, honestly, initially when I joined Octagon Boot Camp, some of my first days on the Octagon were some of the fondest memories I have. This is when there was, I think, Adam Akins and then Garrett Chu. Those were my first, basically, introductions to the Octagon. So, learning what it means to be on the newspaper, presenting Adam with some of the ideas I had for photography on the Octagon, and going out with him and taking those photos. That was really cool. It seemed, because I was just a freshman at the time, very adult and like a real world kind of experience, if that makes sense. So I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Alright, Eesha.
I can't think of a specific moment, but I've been here since 6th grade, so I've been here for 8 years, and I've just built a lot of memories and bonds with everyone because I've known everyone for so long. So yeah, it's been good.
Zema?
I've been here since pre-K, so I have a lot of memories of Country Day. Definitely, Country Day provides a lot of opportunities to leave campus. We go on a lot of trips through 5th grade and middle school and everything. But within the Octagon, we get to go to the journalism conference from the JA and SPA. So I think when we went to Seattle, that was definitely the most fun that we had. Not only did we get to talk to a bunch of other publications, but we got to explore the city, and there's a lot of freedom. But definitely, we made a lot of memories there. So I was excited to be in that.
And then Eesha.
I joined Country Day in 9th grade, so I made a lot of new friends. I think that when I joined Octagon originally in freshman year, it was pretty hard on. So there's a lot that I had to catch up on. So when I finally went to Pay Stub as a page editor, even though we were working for the majority of the afternoon, near the evening, my friends and I would go to watch the sunset to just chill off after working on our pages, and I found that very peaceful after a long day of hard work, especially since we would have to stay till 9 p.m.
Love those answers. And moving on, what are you going to miss most about Country Day? We can start off with Anisha and go around this way.
I think I'm mainly just going to miss the community here in Country Day. Before, in middle school, I was in a school where each grade was around 300 students. So when I came to Country Day, it was very different being in a grade with only 50 people. But honestly, having that smaller type of community made me branch out and talk to more people. So I'm really going to miss being able to have such a tight connection with all the people here.
I think I'm definitely going to miss a lot of the teachers alongside a lot of friends I've grown up with since I was 4 years old. I think each and every teacher that I've had a class with has made some kind of impact on me that I definitely carry away from my experience even up until this year. Yeah, I mean there's so many interesting classes here and classes I looked forward to since I was in pre-K when I found out they were offered in the high school. So I'm just definitely going to miss the environment, like Anisha said, the people and the teachers.
Kind of the same thing. I'm going to miss the community. It's really tight-knit. Everyone knows each other. And the teachers are really great. They actually make a connection with you. It's not like at a big public school where there's thousands of faces or hundreds of faces. And yeah, I'll also miss the opportunities that Country Day is giving me a lot of great opportunities.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think the personal relationships that you're able to build with your teachers here, not just in the year that you're taking the class, but because they observe you over your duration of the time you're a student. I think that's not something you can necessarily have in college. So, you'll go to, this is a personal example for me, I'll be in biology class and yet my bio teacher will know that I'm interested in philosophy, and then we'll make a suggestion, right? Dr. Whitehead has about a future plan in connection with that, right? So I'll definitely miss the close relationships that we're able to build because we have such a small environment.
Love that. And that's actually a perfect segue to my next question. Who is a specific teacher that's made a really big impact on you?
One would be Dr. Whitehead. It's kind of cementing my interest, I would say, in medicine. I think I knew that's what or at least I thought I knew that's what I wanted to do coming into high school, but you're not really sure that that's the case until you actually are exposed to some of the material, like the science, and then of course in anatomy and physiology. So, her for sure. I think she also just goes above and beyond in her teaching, and making class engaging and all that. And then another one would be Mr. H. I think some of his lectures also were something that cemented my interest in philosophy as well. So.
I was gonna say the same two people, also Dr. White and Mr. H. They both have given me a lot of great advice, and going back to middle school, Mr. G was also really great, and he's always been there for us.
I'm also going to have to say Dr. Whited, but I'll add Miss J in there. I think for Dr. Whited, I've worked with her in the school's blood drive, pre-med club, AP biology, and anatomy. And then obviously when I was in lower school, her and Dr. Altman would come down to do like a physiology week to teach us about like different parts of the body. So they started that when I was in 4th grade, and I've been following their class up until then. So when I got to take anatomy and physiology this year, I was very excited. And then for Miss J, obviously outside of the math department, she's the Dean of Student Life. So she's always someone you can go to when you have any conflicts on campus, aside from like your advisors or anything. And she always makes like a great effort to keep an interconnected community at Country Day, so I really appreciate that.
For me, it's also Miss J, but also Mr. French. I mean, I've always been interested in math, so I had a lot of their classes over the years, but I think even outside of class, I've been able to spend time with both Miss J and Mr. French a lot, so just being able to hear about their stories when they were students, and also just their stories in general, I'll really miss that.
All right. Now, shifting gears towards the Octagon specifically, what is your favorite story that you've had the chance to write across 4 years?
For me, it was the parental pressure story that I wrote last year. I wrote it alongside Jacob, who is one of the rising EMCs. And honestly, I was really interested in the story because not only myself, but I've seen parental pressure throughout campus and with a lot of my friends. So being able to interview people and learn more about it while I was researching really made me learn more stuff about the topic itself, since I think it is a serious issue, and I do think a lot of kids at Country Day, especially
I think for me it's the story I feel like I've brought up any interview I have. In my freshman year, I worked with our former editor-in-chief, Eva. She was a sophomore at the time, and we wrote a story about the animal shelters in Sacramento. We went to French Street Animal Shelter, we got a lot of interviews with people. And it was like really my first experience doing a large major enterprise and doing like a full month of research to put a story together. We ended up getting traction and like backlash to it, so it was really interesting to experience like firsthand. And then we ended up doing a speaker presentation at the journalism conference in San Francisco. So it really like wraps up the whole experience for me. And even though it was like one of my first stories I wrote, I think it definitely set the foundation for all the major enterprises I got to write after. So.
For me, I'd say my freshman year, I think it was one of the first like big stories I wrote. It was about AI and ChatGPT. This was when ChatGPT first started coming up, and I wrote it with Samitha. She was my ESC at the time, and I thought it was really interesting because I had no idea like what ChatGPT was, so I kind of got to explore. Yeah, and I found it interesting. I also would say my story that I wrote last year was about the LA fires. I was involved with like making cleanup buckets for them last year, and I sent them to LA. So being able to write a story on that and learn about like the impact that the fire had on everyone was interesting. I got to like hear the stories from everyone about like family members who were being impacted there. So like, yeah, it really gave me like a ones.
And then mine was an editorial, which, like in the actual Octagon, as you know, it appears under editorial staff. But I wrote this with Ryan. It was on the Jeffrey Epstein case. I think this is still a relevant issue that we, as kind of the next generation of people going out in the world, should be really concerned by. So I appreciated the opportunity to write that. And like one thing I think about writing in the Octagon is that I think it has a certain authority, right? When you write, like we've set a standard where people really are interested in like what we have to say, more so than maybe if you were just to talk about it with your friends. And so I think writing and kind of organizing and laying out your thoughts for your peers in that way is an effective way to get an important message out. So that would be my favorite one, I think.
Alright, now for our final question. If there are any rising Octagon staffers maybe watching this, or just people within Octagon currently, what is one piece of advice that you would like to leave Octagon staffers with as you head off to college?
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Find something you're interested in, like one of the genres of journalistic writing. Like pick one or maybe two things that you like or that you're good at, and then stick to those, and then become really good at them. And I think that way two things will happen. One, you'll enjoy what you're doing, and you'll produce better work as a result. And what would you say? I think, bring an interesting perspective to it too. I think when you choose something that you really enjoy doing, you'll do that as well. Go out, venture outside of just our school. If there's a really interesting story going on, go report on it. Ask Ms. Todd. She'll probably talk to your teachers, and you'll be able to do that. So, yeah, and enjoy journalism.
I would say, this is pretty cliche, but don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. I think that's like where the most growth has happened, at least for me. Like, freshman year, I didn't think I would be in EIC, and I didn't think that I would want to do that, but now that I've been in EIC, I think I've learned a lot from it. It's helped me grow as a person and taught me leadership skills and how to work with everyone.
I think my advice has to do a bit more teamwork. I think everyone on staff has the ability to lean on each other if everyone does it together. Everyone can get caught up in the authority and having certain roles and to make a pyramid to the structure of Octagon. But at the end of the day, we're a full team that publishes one issue a month. And for everyone to look back at the issue and see the work that they put into it, I think is the most rewarding experience of being in the Octagon. So when everyone has the chance to lean on each other, whether it be on a story or a page, or even just some little input, it's not your page or it's not your story, if you're helping someone else out, it just really makes the experience a bit more cool.
I think this is also kind of cliche, but don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if you're an incoming freshman or just a younger staffer in general. I promise you that all the upperclassmen are there to help you, and they've been through so much as an Octagon staffer, so there's a lot of things that any staffer can learn from them. And also, as a side note, don't forget your deadlines, because I promise you, the people who are waiting for your stuff would much rather have it come in early, and you can definitely improve your writing if it's turned in on time, so that more people are able to read it rather than turn in last.
Amazing answer.
And one last thing is that I would say don't forget why you're there. It's not to be gunning for college apps, or even though it helps you with that, that's not really why you're there. I think you're there, one, to learn how to articulate yourself, and to find some sort of, truth or meaning in your community, and then to make that accessible for everyone. So I think if you use that as your guiding principle, you'll probably do well as a journalist.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for your time. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a great freshman year of college. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing.
Like and subscribe.
Hit that notification button.